Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley is speaking.
And guaranteed. Not just put off until after the budget. Remember, there's another budget in about 7 months' time. Where is the advocacy of the member for North Sydney on those issues? We saw the member for Mackellar in a policy document prior to the last election say that she fully supported the Stage 3 tax cuts. But now she says, well, it's a bit early to talk about them. Well, when is a good time to talk about them? We saw the member for Kooyong explain in the lead up to the election that she doesn't make tax policy. It's very clear that she has signed on to Labor's tax policy. Where is the advocacy that the constituents of these beautiful parts of Sydney need from their local members of parliament, who should understand and be in touch with the pressures they're facing? We know the government's not in touch. The Treasurer's in Washington doing good work. He might note that Anthony Albanese called David Speers on Sunday morning to make sure that the Stage 3 tax cuts were not going to be tinkered with at this budget, and probably told David Speers before he told his own Treasurer. That's a government that perhaps isn't coordinating its message or its policies very well. And my goodness, on the front page of today's news, we saw that the Industry Minister and the Resources Minister are at war with each other over the government's tax policy. Now, we're not talking about the Minister for the Arts and, the Minister for Sport maybe not agreeing. We're talking about two ministers who should be working hand in glove, the Resources Minister and the Industry Minister, and they're at war with each other over their own government's gas policy. Now, I've just come back from Queensland. Peter Dutton's up there in North Queensland now. We're meeting with manufacturers, we're meeting with small businesses, and everywhere we hear the pressure they're under. Every manufacturing process in this country that uses gas is looking to this government to help solve the rising cost of fuel and the inputs into their business. And it's just not good enough. I want to address another matter relating to the Labor Party that significantly undermines national security. Today, a former Prime Minister has made comments in the public domain that significantly undermine national security. Remarks about AUKUS and remarks about the Quad. And unfortunately, what these remarks do, what they will do, is be used by the Chinese Communist Party to weaponise the approach and the policies that this government should be putting forward. These remarks will be used in a way that hurts our national security interest. And I'm not talking about the many thousands of Chinese Australians who've made a wonderful contribution to this country. I'm talking about remarks that should have never, ever been made. The most dangerous remarks that I, in 21 years of Parliament, have heard a current or former Prime Minister make. And the challenge to Anthony Albanese today is that he must distance himself from these remarks. He must distance himself from what has been said by his political mentor, Paul Keating, and he must do that unequivocally. These remarks need to be unequivocally refuted, and that needs to happen as soon as possible. We're here, the coalition team across the country. Peter Dutton in Queensland, where 20 members of the Shadow Cabinet most recently met. And I'm here in Sydney today, and we're going to continue to do what we've been doing since the election, out on the ground, listening, hearing what people have to say, working hard for their interests, appreciating the pressures that they're under, and every day, in every way, making sure that we have their back. The Liberal Party is the only party in the Parliament out today that actually understands those cost of living pressures. I've talked about the disarray that Labor is in, and I don't even think we even need to mention the Greens. And unfortunately, we've got a group of independents who are not here fighting for their communities and those cost of living increases. So it's the Liberal Party that is here for you, working hard for your interests for the future. Happy to take questions.
What changes will the party make?
Well, it's important that we listen to the residents and the communities of North Sydney, and indeed all of the seats that are held by the independents. And today is part of that, as is every day. This is certainly not the only day that I have spent in North Sydney since the election. But as Peter Dutton made clear, we are developing policy. It's only 5 months since the election, and we're going to make really sure that we do that in a way that links our agenda with the aspirations of the people that we seek to support us at the next election. We've already produced a policy that Labor adopted a pay limitation of, which was to double the work bonus for people on the pension and veterans support payments. And everywhere I go, small businesses are telling me that's fantastic and that's really well needed. And we wish it had been done earlier, and we wish it was done better by the current government. So that's one example of sensible policy, and you'll see more along the way.
Can the Liberals really be taken seriously in a seat like this when the Vice President of the party is celebrating the defeat of the former member?
Well, Peter Dutton made very clear in comments that he made on Sunday that those remarks should not have been made, and he has distanced himself and the party from those remarks and said that they won't be repeated.